I really tried my best, please watch the video until the end.
The blinding flash of holy light consumed my heroic mortal body completely. I struck the final blow against the terrifying Demon King himself today. My grand sacrifice was supposed to secure peace for the human realm. The beautiful princess promised to marry my reincarnated soul next life happily. I closed my eyes and embraced the glorious death with a smile. A sweet system voice promised me a grand return to the living. Instead of a soft royal bed, I felt cold, hard dirt beneath. A sharp pain throbbed inside my unusually heavy and strange-looking head. I slowly opened my heavy eyelids and stared at the dark sky. Thick black clouds swirled above a barren wasteland of jagged crimson rocks. This was definitely not the luxurious human palace I was eagerly expecting. I tried to lift my hands, but they felt completely alien now. My fingers ended in sharp black claws covered in thick gray dirt. Panic surged through my mind as I desperately inspected my new body. I was wearing filthy rags that smelled like rotting meat and ash. 2 small curved horns grew straight out of my aching gray forehead. I was a demon, and a pathetically weak one at that moment. The system interface suddenly glowed right in front of my widened eyes. Welcome to your new life as a lowly demon soldier named Leon. An unexpected error occurred during your glorious reincarnation process, dear human hero. I stared at the glowing blue text with absolute horror and disbelief. My grand reward was supposed to be a life of extreme luxury. I wanted to marry the princess and eat sweet cakes every day. Now I was trapped inside the frail body of an enemy monster. I angrily punched the rocky ground and cursed my terrible luck aloud. The system pinged again with a new message flashing in bright red. To return to a human form, you must die in honorable combat. Intentional suicide by your own hands will permanently delete your precious soul. You must fall in battle against a truly worthy and strong opponent. A bright smile instantly formed on my ugly gray demonic face today. This was actually the best news I could possibly receive right now. All I had to do was find a strong enemy and lose. Dying in battle was incredibly easy for a weak demon like me. I stood up and dusted the nasty dirt off my ragged clothes. My past life was filled with endless training and brutal, exhausting battles. I was the golden knight who carried the hopes of all humanity. People cheered my name whenever I walked through the bright city streets. Now I was just a nameless grunt in the dark demon realm. A loud crack of a leather whip interrupted my deep internal thoughts. Move your lazy feet, you pathetic excuses for hellish demon soldiers today. A massive demon with red skin and giant tusks roared at us. He held a spiked whip that dripped with glowing green toxic poison. This brute was clearly the ruthless overseer of our miserable conscript camp. Other weak demons scrambled around me in sheer terror and blind panic. They grabbed rusty swords and broken wooden shields from a massive pile. The overseer cracked his whip again and struck a small, trembling goblin. The poor creature squealed in pain and rushed toward the front lines. I calmly observed the chaotic situation with my experienced tactical veteran eyes. We were stationed inside a narrow canyon made of sharp black obsidian. Loud war horns echoed from the other side of the dark valley. A massive army of human crusaders was marching directly toward our position. Their silver armor gleamed brightly under the unnatural red light of hell. I recognized the royal crest painted proudly on their large white shields. These were the elite holy knights of the Grand Human Empire Army. They were my former comrades and the strongest warriors in the world. My heart leaped with pure joy at the sight of my friends. They were absolutely perfect for my brilliant plan to die in battle. A low-ranked demon like Leon stood zero chance against holy knights. One single strike from their blessed swords would instantly vaporize my body. I would finally return to the system and claim my human reincarnation. The overseer grabbed my thin shoulder with his massive, meaty red hand. "Get moving, you worthless piece of trash, or I will eat you!" His foul breath smelled like rotting corpses and cheap, sour demon ale. I did not flinch or show any fear to this ugly brute. In my past life, I could have killed him with one finger. Now I just smiled warmly at him and gave a polite nod. "Thank you for the wonderful motivation, sir. I will fight very bravely." The overseer looked completely confused by my cheerful and highly unusual response. He pushed me forward into the dense ranks of terrified demon fodder. I walked eagerly toward the front lines without picking up any weapons. A rusty iron helmet was offered to me by a shaking imp. I politely declined the useless armor and tossed it into the dirt. Armor would only delay my glorious death and ruin my perfect plan. I needed to be completely vulnerable to ensure a quick, fatal blow. The human crusaders formed a tight shield wall across the narrow canyon. Their holy magic illuminated the dark battlefield with a blinding white light. Our demon forces hesitated and began to step backward in absolute terror. The holy aura was highly toxic to these weak creatures of darkness. I felt a slight burning sensation on my gray skin right now. It was a wonderful feeling that confirmed my impending and happy doom. The human commander raised his glowing golden sword high into the air. "Charge forward and eradicate these filthy monsters in the name of justice." The heavy cavalry spurred their armored horses and galloped toward our lines. The ground shook violently beneath the weight of their massive metal boots. Demons around me screamed and dropped their broken weapons in utter despair. They turned around and tried to flee from the terrifying holy knights. The brutal overseer started whipping the retreating demons with extreme angry force. "Cowards will be executed on the spot by my own bloody hands." Complete chaos erupted as the demon army collapsed before the battle started. I was the only one walking forward with a huge, bright smile. This was my golden opportunity to secure my precious death right now. I stepped out of the demon ranks and stood in the open. I was completely alone in the middle of the vast, empty battlefield. The roaring human cavalry was charging directly toward my frail demonic body. I raised my empty hands high into the air and closed my eyes. "Come and strike me down, you brave champions of the human realm. I am a wicked demon and I deserve to die right here." I shouted these dramatic words to ensure they would target me first. The leading human knight aimed his long, sharp lance at my chest. His eyes were filled with righteous fury and absolute burning holy hatred. I felt a thrilling rush of adrenaline as the deadly lance approached. This was the exact moment I had been waiting for all morning. Goodbye, ugly demon body, and hello, beautiful human princess of my dreams. The sharp steel tip of the holy lance pierced my weak chest. A burst of intense pain exploded through my entire frail nervous system. I was thrown backward by the sheer kinetic force of the charge. My body crashed heavily into the hard, rocky ground of the canyon. My vision faded to black as the sweet embrace of death arrived. I waited happily for the familiar system prompt to announce my reincarnation. Instead, a loud and extremely annoying buzzing sound echoed in my mind. "Critical system error detected during the fatal damage calculation process right now. Host has demonstrated unprecedented bravery by facing an entire army completely unarmed. Hidden achievement unlocked for showing absolute fearlessness in the face of death. The title of True Demon Leader has been forcefully granted to Host. Activating emergency survival protocol to protect the newly appointed Royal Demon Leader. Passive skill. Absolute regeneration has been permanently bound to your physical soul. You will now recover 99,000 health points every single second." I opened my eyes and gasped loudly in pure shock and horror. A massive pillar of green light erupted from my supposedly dead body. The fatal hole in my chest closed up in less than a second. My frail muscles suddenly expanded and filled with raw, terrifying demonic power. The holy energy that was killing me was instantly purged and destroyed. I sat up and stared at my perfectly healthy gray demonic chest. This was an absolute disaster of epic proportions for my grand plan. I frantically checked my system status window floating in the dusty air. Health points were rapidly flashing at maximum capacity without any visible limits. My passive regeneration was completely out-healing the massive damage of holy magic. The human knight who stabbed me pulled his heavy horse to a halt. He turned around and stared at me through the slit of his helmet. His hands were visibly shaking as he held his bloody holy lance. "Impossible," he whispered loudly enough for my enhanced demonic ears to hear. No lowly demon could ever survive a direct strike from blessed steel. I stood up and brushed the dust off my torn, filthy rags. "Please try again, sir, because I really need to die right now." I walked toward the terrified human knight with my arms wide open. My polite request sounded like a sinister taunt to his human ears. He screamed in panic and thrust his glowing lance at my face. The sharp blade hit my left eye and pierced straight into my brain. I felt a brief sting before the green light flashed brightly again. The lance shattered into 100 tiny pieces of useless broken metal. My eye healed instantly and pushed the broken steel out of my skull. The massive kinetic feedback from my regeneration threw the knight off his horse. He crashed into the dirt and scrambled backward in pure, absolute terror. He is an immortal monster, sent from the deepest pits of hell. The human cavalry halted their aggressive charge and stared at me nervously. Their holy auras flickered as fear began to infect their brave hearts. I sighed heavily and rubbed my perfectly healed gray demonic forehead tiredly. This stupid system bug was completely ruining my beautiful dream of reincarnation. I needed to find a much stronger attack to bypass this crazy healing. I looked at the human commander who was watching from a safe distance. "Hey, you with the shiny golden sword, please come and kill me. Use your strongest ultimate magic attack and turn me into fine ash." I pointed a sharp black claw directly at the brave human leader. The commander gritted his teeth and raised his glowing golden sword high. "Concentrate all holy magic on that single arrogant demon and destroy him." Dozens of human mages raised their wooden staffs on the distant ridge. A massive magical circle glowing with pure white light appeared above me. The sheer pressure of the gathering mana cracked the solid obsidian ground. This was exactly the kind of overwhelming destructive power I desperately needed. I smiled brightly and spread my arms to welcome the holy bombardment. Behind me, the cowardly demon army stopped running and turned around slowly. They watched in silent awe as I stood alone against the magical nuke. The brutal overseer dropped his toxic whip and stared with wide eyes. "Look at that crazy fool standing there like a proud demonic god. He is sacrificing himself to buy us enough time to safely retreat." I wanted to scream that I was just trying to kill myself. Before I could speak, the massive holy beam crashed down from the sky. The world turned blindingly white as pure destructive energy consumed my body. The intense heat melted the surrounding rocks into pools of glowing lava. I felt my flesh burn away completely in a fraction of a second. "This is it," I thought happily as my consciousness began to fade. No amount of regeneration can save me from total atomic bodily annihilation. But the annoying system interface suddenly chimed with a cheerful golden notification. "Host has endured extreme magical damage beyond the normal physical threshold capacity. Absolute regeneration has temporarily evolved into divine demonic rebirth to ensure survival." The blinding white light was suddenly swallowed by a massive green explosion. I was instantly rebuilt from a single surviving cell on the scorched ground. The holy magic was forcefully dispersed and shattered into harmless glowing sparks. I stood completely naked in the center of a massive smoking crater. My new demon body was perfectly sculpted and radiating immense dark energy. I looked down at my hands and let out a frustrated groan. Not only did I survive, but I somehow looked even stronger now. My pathetic little horns had grown into majestic curved crowns of black bone. The human mages collapsed in sheer exhaustion after casting their ultimate spell. The commander dropped his golden sword and fell to his trembling knees. We hit him with everything we had, and he did not even flinch. This is not a simple demon soldier, but a terrifying lord of hell. Retreat immediately before this immortal monster slaughters our entire holy crusader army. The brave human knights turned their horses and fled in absolute panic. They trampled over each other in their desperate rush to escape me. I stood in the smoking crater and watched my beautiful death run away. "Come back here, you cowards, I just want to die a little bit," I shouted angrily, but my enhanced demonic voice sounded like a terrifying roar. The sound wave shattered the remaining rocks and accelerated their panicked retreat. I dropped to my knees and punched the molten ground in pure despair. My brilliant plan had failed completely because of a stupid system bug. Suddenly, a deafening roar of cheers erupted from the canyon behind me. The entire demon army was rushing toward me with tears in their eyes. They surrounded the crater and dropped to their knees in deep reverence. The cruel overseer crawled forward and pressed his ugly face into the dirt. "Forgive my extreme ignorance, O great and mighty Lord of the dark abyss. You willingly took the holy fire to protect us weak and pathetic soldiers. Your absolute bravery has deeply moved our cold and selfish demonic hearts today. We pledge our eternal loyalty to you, our glorious and immortal new savior." Thousands of demons began chanting my fake name in perfect rhythmic unison. Leon, the immortal hero of the Dark Realm, has finally arrived among us. I stared at the cheering crowd with a blank and completely dead expression. I did not want to save you ugly monsters from the holy knights. I just wanted to die so I could marry my beautiful human princess. High above the battlefield, a dark shadow watched the entire ridiculous spectacle unfold. A stunningly beautiful woman with long silver hair sat on a flying wyvern. She wore elegant black armor that perfectly highlighted her graceful and deadly curves. This was Queen Eliza, the supreme ruler of the northern demon territories today. Her crimson eyes sparkled with intense interest as she observed my glowing body. She gently patted the thick, scaly neck of her massive flying pet beast, a demon who throws away his own life to protect the weakest soldiers. I have never seen such noble and selfless behavior in our cruel world. He took the ultimate holy spell head-on without a single step backward. This incredible man might be the legendary hero our dying kingdom desperately needs. I must bring him to my royal court and make him my general. Down in the crater, I was still desperately trying to scratch myself deeply. I used my sharp claws to cut my own throat in pure frustration. The green light flashed instantly and healed the fatal wound in a millisecond. The system firmly reminded me that intentional suicide was strictly forbidden here. The demons around me gasped in awe at my terrifying display of power. He is testing his own immortal flesh to show us his absolute superiority. What a terrifyingly confident and majestic leader we have finally found today. I sighed heavily and realized I was stuck in this terrible immortal nightmare. My glorious human reincarnation seemed further away than it had ever been before. I will definitely find a much bigger boss to kill me tomorrow morning. The dusty wind blew across the ruined battlefield of the dark demon realm. I stared at the cheering crowd of ugly monsters with pure, deep exhaustion. My perfect plan to die and reincarnate was completely ruined by this system. Suddenly, a massive dark shadow covered the bright, glowing crater around my body. A giant flying wyvern landed heavily on the scorched earth right before me. The terrifying beast roared loudly and flapped its massive leathery black wings twice. Most demons screamed in panic and threw themselves flat onto the dirty ground. I just stood there and looked at the angry monster with high hopes. Maybe this giant scaly lizard could finally bite my head off right now. A beautiful woman gracefully jumped down from the back of the terrifying beast. She wore elegant black armor that hugged her perfect curves in every place. Her long silver hair flowed beautifully in the hot wind of the wasteland. She possessed stunning crimson eyes that stared directly into my tired gray soul. This was Queen Eliza, the supreme ruler of the entire northern demon territory. I knew her face from the detailed military briefings in my past life. She was an incredibly powerful boss who killed many brave human knights before. My heart leaped with pure joy at the sight of this deadly woman. She was exactly the kind of strong opponent I desperately needed to fight. I took a confident step forward and smiled brightly at the dangerous queen. "Please use your strongest dark magic and destroy my physical body right now." I spoke these words, hoping she would instantly execute me for extreme disrespect. The surrounding demons gasped loudly and trembled in absolute fear of her wrath. They expected the cruel queen to turn me into a pile of fine ash. Queen Eliza just smiled warmly and placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "You are a truly fascinating creature with absolutely no fear in your heart. I saw your incredible sacrifice against the holy knights from the high sky. You willingly absorbed the deadly holy magic to protect these weak, worthless soldiers. Your noble spirit is something I have never witnessed in this dark realm." I stared at her beautiful face with a completely blank and confused expression. "I did not want to protect anyone on this filthy battlefield today, lady. I just wanted to die quickly and return to my sweet human princess." Before I could explain my true intentions, the annoying system interface suddenly pinged. "Hidden achievement unlocked for impressing the supreme ruler of the northern demon territory. Your social rank has been forcefully elevated to the prestigious Royal Vanguard General. Charisma stats have been permanently increased by 10,000 points for this interaction." I groaned internally as my demonic aura suddenly flared with majestic dark energy. The queen looked even more impressed by my accidental display of raw power. She grabbed my hand and gently pulled me toward her massive flying wyvern. You will come with me to the royal capital and become my general. A warrior of your immense caliber deserves a place by my royal side." I tried to pull my hand away, but her grip was surprisingly strong. "Please just kill me instead of giving me a stupid high-ranking job." I complained loudly, but my words sounded like a humble refusal to her. She laughed softly and pushed me onto the back of her giant beast. True heroes never seek high rewards for their noble and completely selfless actions. Your absolute humility only confirms my deep belief in your great hidden potential. The giant wyvern spread its wings and launched us high into the sky. I looked down at the shrinking battlefield with a heavy and sad heart. Thousands of demons were waving their dirty hands and cheering my fake name. They honestly believed I was their glorious immortal savior sent from the abyss. I sighed heavily and rubbed my aching gray forehead with a sharp claw. This was turning into a massive, chaotic nightmare of truly epic historical proportions. The flight to the dark royal capital took several hours of freezing wind. I secretly hoped the giant wyvern would accidentally drop me from this height. Falling from the clouds would surely deal enough physical damage to kill me. Unfortunately, Queen Eliza held my waist tightly to ensure my complete physical safety. Her soft body pressed against my back made the cold flight slightly bearable. We finally arrived at a massive black fortress built into a giant volcano. Rivers of glowing red lava flowed through the dark streets of the city. Thousands of elite demon guards stood at absolute attention along the high walls. The wyvern landed gracefully on the main balcony of the Grand Royal Palace. I stepped off the beast and stretched my stiff gray demonic muscle fibers. Queen Eliza led me directly into the massive throne room of the castle. The room was filled with highly dangerous and extremely powerful demon military commanders. They all wore heavy spiked armor and carried massive cursed weapons of destruction. These guys looked absolutely perfect for my grand suicidal plans of glorious death. Any single one of them could probably chop my head off in seconds. The queen walked to her obsidian throne and sat down with royal grace. "Listen to me, my loyal generals and commanders of the Dark Demon Army. I have found a truly magnificent warrior to lead our vanguard forces today. This is Leon, the immortal hero who single-handedly defeated the human crusaders." A loud murmur of absolute disbelief and deep suspicion echoed through the room. A massive demon with dark purple skin and heavy black armor stepped forward. He had a giant battle axe strapped firmly to his broad, muscular back. This was General Malachor, the most aggressive and violent commander in the kingdom. "My queen, you cannot seriously appoint this pathetic weakling as a vanguard general. He possesses no visible magical aura and looks like a basic frontline grunt. I bet he just ran away while the human magic destroyed everyone else." I smiled brightly and nodded my head in complete agreement with his words. "You are absolutely right, sir. I am completely useless and very deeply weak. Please chop my head off right now to prove your highly valid point." I stepped toward the giant purple demon and offered him my unprotected neck. Malachor looked completely baffled by my highly unusual and extremely suicidal direct response. He expected me to argue or fight back like a normal proud demon. Instead, I was practically begging him to murder me in cold, dark blood. Queen Eliza laughed gracefully and rested her beautiful chin on her pale hand. "You see, Malachor, he does not even consider you a worthy physical threat. He is openly mocking your famous strength by offering his own bare neck. That was absolutely not what I was doing in any way at all. I desperately wanted him to swing that giant battle axe at my face." Malachor growled loudly, and his purple skin turned a deep shade of red. "You arrogant little insect, I will crush your tiny skull with my boots." He raised his massive armored fist to strike me down where I stood. I closed my eyes and waited eagerly for the sweet release of death. Suddenly, a smaller but equally ugly demon stepped in front of the general. "My lord, please do not dirty your noble hands with this pathetic trash. Allow me to execute this arrogant fool in the royal arena of blood." This was Vark, a notorious executioner, known for his highly toxic poison blades. He held two curved daggers that dripped with nasty glowing green acidic venom. Malachor lowered his fist and smiled cruelly at his highly loyal, deadly minion. "Very well, Vark. You may teach this fake hero a lesson in pain." Queen Eliza leaned forward with a look of intense interest in her eyes. "A formal duel to the death is a perfect way to prove strength. Do you accept this deadly challenge, my brave and fearless new Vanguard General? I nodded my head so fast I almost snapped my own demonic neck. Yes, I absolutely accept this wonderful opportunity to die in brutal, bloody combat. The entire throne room went completely silent after hearing my highly enthusiastic response. They clearly thought I was a massive lunatic with a severe death wish. They were actually completely right about my severe and very real death wish. The royal arena was located deep beneath the main palace in a cavern. Thousands of bloodthirsty demons gathered in the stone stands to watch the execution. They wanted to see the fake hero get sliced into tiny bloody pieces. I stood in the center of the sandy arena and stretched my arms. Vark stood across from me, spinning his highly toxic, glowing green curved daggers. I will melt your flesh slowly and listen to your pathetic, painful screams. He hissed loudly and licked the flat side of his deadly poisonous blade. I gave him a big thumbs up and smiled with genuine deep happiness. Please do your absolute best because I am counting on your deadly poison. Queen Eliza sat in her royal box overlooking the dusty arena of blood. She raised her elegant hand and dropped a single red silk cloth down. The moment the cloth hit the sand, Vark vanished into a dark blur. He was incredibly fast for a low-level demonic executioner of his rank. He appeared right behind me and plunged both daggers into my lower back. The highly toxic venom instantly flooded my entire frail gray demonic nervous system. A wave of agonizing pain washed over my body as my blood boiled. I collapsed to my knees and coughed up a huge mouthful of blood. The crowd cheered wildly as they watched me fall so quickly and easily. Malachor laughed loudly from the royal stands and pointed at my dying body. I told you he was just a completely useless and pathetic weak fraud. I closed my eyes and waited for the beautiful darkness to consume me. My human reincarnation was finally within my desperate reach after all this time. But then the absolute worst possible sound echoed loudly inside my hopeful mind. The annoying system interface pinged with a bright and completely devastating golden light. Host has ingested a lethal dose of highly concentrated demonic shadow viper venom. Passive skill. Absolute regeneration has automatically detected a severe threat to your life, purging all foreign toxins and rapidly repairing all damaged internal cellular tissue structures. Hidden achievement unlocked for surviving the deadliest poison known to the Dark Realm. You have gained absolute immunity to all known toxic and poisonous chemical substances. A massive pulse of bright green energy exploded outward from my kneeling body. The fatal wounds on my back healed instantly without leaving a single scar. The toxic venom in my veins was forcefully ejected through my gray pores. It formed a highly pressurized cloud of deadly green gas completely surrounding me. Vark was standing too close to me when the massive toxic explosion occurred. He inhaled a huge lungful of his own highly concentrated reflected poison gas. The executioner dropped his daggers and grabbed his own throat in absolute panic. His eyes rolled back as the concentrated venom melted his internal respiratory organs. He collapsed onto the sandy arena floor and stopped moving completely after seconds. I slowly stood up and stared at the dead assassin in pure disbelief. "You absolute useless idiot! Why did you have to die from your poison?" I screamed angrily at the dead body lying peacefully in the dusty sand. The entire arena was completely silent as they processed the highly shocking scene. They thought I purposely absorbed the attack to reflect it back at him. They believed I was playing a cruel and highly calculated tactical mind game. Suddenly, Queen Eliza stood up and began clapping her hands with elegant grace. "Magnificent!" she shouted loudly enough for the entire massive dark arena to hear. He allowed the enemy to strike first to demonstrate his absolute overwhelming superiority. He used the assassin's own pathetic weapon to secure a flawless, clean victory. The silent crowd suddenly erupted into a deafening roar of absolute wild cheers. They chanted my fake name with even more religious devotion than ever before. Leon, the immortal poison master, has proven his absolute right to lead us. I dropped to my knees again and buried my face in my hands. I was not a tactical genius, and I definitely did not want this. I just wanted to die a simple death and marry my human princess. General Malachor looked absolutely furious as he crushed a stone pillar with bare hands. He glared at me with pure, intense hatred burning in his purple eyes. You may have tricked my minion, but you will never defeat me directly. I looked up at the angry general with a sudden spark of hope. Yes, please, come down here and smash my head with your giant axe, I yelled loudly, hoping he would jump into the arena and kill me. But Malachor just scoffed and turned his broad purple back in complete disgust. I will not fight a tricky coward who relies on cheap poison reflections. I will wait for a proper battlefield to crush your pathetic fake legend. He marched out of the royal stands with his remaining highly loyal guards. I sighed heavily and punched the sandy ground in pure, absolute, deep frustration. Why is it so incredibly difficult to find someone willing to murder me? Queen Eliza gracefully floated down from her royal box and landed beside me. She gently lifted my chin with her soft and perfectly manicured pale fingers. You have proven your absolute worth to my kingdom beyond any reasonable doubt. I officially appoint you as the supreme commander of my elite vanguard forces. The system interface pinged again with another highly annoying bright golden text notification. You have successfully established a loyal faction within the Northern Dark Demon territory. Title of Royal Vanguard Commander has been permanently bound to your physical soul. All subordinate demons will now receive a passive boost to their combat stats. I stared blankly at the glowing blue letters floating in the dusty air. My grand plan was moving completely backward at an absolutely terrifying high speed. I was supposed to be a dead hero resting in a royal tomb. Now I was a highly respected military leader in the evil demon army. Eliza smiled warmly and gently stroked my majestic curved black bone head horns. We will conquer the entire human realm together with your brilliant tactical mind. I felt a cold chill run down my newly upgraded immortal demonic spine. If I lead the demon army against humans, I will fight my friends. I absolutely cannot allow myself to destroy the very kingdom I once protected. I must find a way to die before this crazy war actually begins. I looked around the arena at the thousands of cheering and loyal demons. They were looking at me like I was their absolute greatest living god. A small goblin ran up to me and offered me a clean towel. Great Master, your glorious victory has deeply inspired my extremely weak, pathetic soul. I wish to serve you faithfully until the very end of my life. I took the towel and wiped the dusty sand off my gray face. Thank you, little guy, but I really do not need any loyal servants. The goblin cried tears of pure joy and hugged my thick demonic leg. He is so incredibly humble and kind to a lowly creature like me. The crowd cheered even louder at my supposedly merciful and highly generous behavior. I realized that absolutely everything I did was being completely misinterpreted by everyone. If I acted cowardly, they thought I was setting a highly brilliant trap. If I begged for death, they thought I was bravely mocking my enemies. I was trapped in a highly absurd comedy of endless, terrible, tragic misunderstandings. Queen Eliza took my hand and led me out of the bloody arena. We have a grand royal banquet tonight to celebrate your incredible, flawless victory. I will introduce you to the rest of my highly elite military council. I dragged my feet heavily as we walked through the dark stone corridors. I desperately needed to find a highly dangerous monster to eat me soon. Maybe there was a deadly mythical dragon sleeping somewhere in this dark kingdom. Yes, a giant dragon breathing absolute hellfire would definitely permanently destroy my body. I smiled slightly at the comforting thought of being burned to crisp ash. I will definitely search for a legendary dragon tomorrow morning after this party. Until then, I will just have to survive this highly annoying immortal life. The grand royal banquet was filled with highly exotic and extremely strange food. I sat next to the beautiful queen and stared at my golden plate. Roasted goblin legs and glowing blue spider eyes were not very appetizing meals. I pretended to enjoy the terrible food to avoid insulting the royal chefs. Tomorrow I will definitely find that giant dragon and end this silly nightmare. I awakened incredibly early this miserable morning, experiencing an absolutely devastating demonic headache. The disgusting glowing blue spider eyes from yesterday seriously upset my sensitive stomach. I desperately required a genuinely terrifying mythical dragon to completely obliterate my body. Queen Eliza commanded my immediate presence inside the magnificent royal obsidian throne room. I walked incredibly slowly through those intimidating dark corridors of the demonic palace. Elite royal demon guards saluted my passing figure with profound respect and admiration. I completely ignored their admiring gazes and forcefully rubbed my exhausted gray eyes. My brilliant master plan for glorious death was failing in spectacular, unexpected ways. I finally entered the colossal throne room and observed the entire military council. General Malachor stood menacingly near the royal throne, wearing an extremely furious expression. A remarkably tall and incredibly handsome demon knight stood proudly beside the general. He wore shining silver magical armor decorated with intensely glowing dark red runes. This elegant warrior was Dante, the absolute greatest combat prodigy of our kingdom. He was the personal elite champion of General Malachor and a deadly fighter. Queen Eliza smiled warmly upon noticing my incredibly tired and thoroughly miserable face. Welcome, my exceptionally brave vanguard commander, to this highly important morning military gathering. General Malachor has formally challenged your absolute inherent right to command our armies. He aggressively demands that you prove your true ultimate worth in ancestral combat. The ancient Cave of Ancestors represents an incredibly dangerous and thoroughly deadly dungeon. Only the absolute strongest demonic warriors can survive the terrible monsters hidden inside. My miserable gray demonic heart leaped with pure, genuine joy at this news. A highly dangerous and extremely deadly underground dungeon was exactly what I needed. I smiled incredibly brightly at the furious purple general and his arrogant champion. Thank you so very much for this wonderful opportunity to perish in battle. I will happily enter this terrifying dark cave and never return alive again. The entire military council gasped loudly at my highly unusual and cheerful response. They honestly believed I was openly mocking their sacred traditions with extreme arrogance. Dante stepped aggressively forward and unsheathed his massive glowing silver sword very slowly. You are a completely arrogant, foolish creature to mock the sacred ancestral trial. I will personally accompany you into the dangerous abyss to witness your failure. You will desperately beg for mercy when ancient monsters tear your pathetic flesh. I gave the handsome noble knight a massive thumbs up and nodded eagerly. Please ensure those terrifying monsters tear my flesh into incredibly tiny bloody pieces. Dante looked utterly confused by my genuine enthusiasm for brutal, absolute physical destruction. Queen Eliza laughed gracefully and clapped her delicate pale hands to restore silence. It is officially decided that both brave warriors will enter the sacred caverns. Whoever reaches the deepest hidden chamber and defeats the ultimate guardian claims victory. The surviving winner will be permanently recognized as the true demonic power heir. I simply did not care about any meaningless titles or fake royal authority. I desperately wanted the giant guardian monster to crush my frail gray skull. We traveled quickly toward the forbidden jagged mountains located outside the dark capital. The terrifying entrance to the ancient cave resembled a massive gaping monster mouth. Sharp, heavy stalactites hung from the dark ceiling like giant, deadly stone teeth. A thick, suffocating aura of pure dark magic radiated from the terrifying abyss. Dante activated his magical silver armor and chanted several incredibly powerful protective spells. He glared at my miserable figure with deep disgust as I stood unprotected. Are you seriously entering the deadly dungeon wearing those completely filthy torn rags? You will absolutely perish from the highly toxic atmosphere before we even begin. I smiled extremely happily and took a massive deep breath of toxic air. I truly hoped the poisonous dungeon atmosphere would terminate my life incredibly painfully. My newly acquired passive poison immunity unfortunately neutralized the completely deadly magical gas. I sighed with heavy disappointment and walked straight into the dark, scary cave. Dante cautiously followed my path while keeping his glowing silver magical sword raised. The dark, winding tunnels were filled with massive swarms of giant venomous centipedes. These terrifying, ugly bugs possessed razor-sharp mandibles that could easily crush boulders. I excitedly jumped directly into the dangerous center of the angry, crawling swarm. Please consume my tasty gray demonic flesh, you beautiful giant venomous insect monsters, I shouted incredibly loudly while opening my bare arms to welcome deadly bites. The aggressive centipedes lunged violently and bit my exposed arms with extreme force. Their razor-sharp mandibles instantly shattered against my highly durable immortal demon skin. My passive regeneration skill made my flesh significantly harder than solid obsidian stone. The broken bugs squealed in terrible agony and quickly retreated into dark shadows. Dante observed the entire bizarre scene with wide and completely utterly shocked eyes. He mistakenly assumed I utilized a high-level invisible magical shield against them. Your invisible defensive magic is truly terrifying and completely flawless, my noble rival. You purposely baited the terrible monsters to accurately test their miserable physical strength. I groaned incredibly loudly and slapped my own gray forehead in pure frustration. I am absolutely not using any defensive magic, you completely blind silver idiot. I genuinely just want these creatures to kill me, but they remain weak. Dante simply smirked arrogantly and shook his handsome head with a knowing expression. You absolutely do not need to hide your brilliant tactical mind from me. We continued walking much deeper into the terrifying dark maze of stone tunnels. I actively stepped directly onto every single deadly magical trap I could locate. Hidden iron spikes violently pierced my chest, but my resilient body healed instantly. Giant magical fireballs engulfed my face, but my gray skin remained perfectly cool. Corrosive acid drops melted my hair, but it immediately grew back significantly thicker. Dante was utterly mesmerized by my incredibly reckless and highly suicidal dungeon exploration. He carefully followed my exact footsteps to safely avoid triggering any new traps. He is purposely disarming all the deadly hidden traps with his own body. What a remarkably noble and incredibly selfless vanguard general we have today here. Dante whispered these highly annoying words to himself while walking safely behind me. I desperately wanted to turn around and punch his handsome face very hard. I am absolutely not protecting you because I am merely trying to die. We finally reached a massive underground cavern, beautifully glowing with bright red crystals. The sheer immense size of this giant room was absolutely breathtaking and terrifying. A colossal mountain of shiny gold coins and magical weapons completely covered everything. Sleeping peacefully upon the massive glittering treasure was the ultimate ancient dungeon guardian. It was a colossal mythical ancient dragon possessing dark crimson scales and horns. Thick black toxic smoke slowly drifted from its massive, terrifying, scaly giant nostrils. The magnificent beast radiated an overwhelming aura of pure, absolute death and destruction. My miserable gray demonic heart fluttered with pure genuine joy and deep excitement. This beautiful giant scaly lizard was definitely strong enough to bypass my healing. One single blast of ancient dragon fire would instantly vaporize my entire soul. Dante trembled in absolute fear and tightly gripped his glowing silver magical sword. This creature is the legendary ancient blood dragon of the dark ancestral realm. We must carefully coordinate our powerful magical attacks to discover its hidden weakness. I completely ignored his stupid tactical advice and immediately started stripping my clothes. I threw my filthy, useless rags and completely ruined leather boots away quickly. I stood absolutely naked directly in front of the terrifying giant sleeping dragon. Dante gasped incredibly loudly and very quickly covered his eyes with his armored hand. What in the dark, magnificent name of the endless abyss are you doing? You absolutely cannot fight the ultimate ancestral guardian boss completely naked and unarmed. I smiled incredibly brightly and stretched my bare, gray demonic arms very wide. Heavy, useless armor will only delay my glorious death in this beautiful cave. I desperately need my physical defense to remain absolutely zero for this fight. I confidently picked up a small, sharp, dirty rock and threw it hard. The tiny, pathetic stone bounced harmlessly off the giant, scaly snout of danger. The colossal, terrifying beast slowly opened its massive, glowing, bright yellow reptilian eyes. It unleashed a deafening, terrifying roar that violently shook the entire underground cavern. Giant, heavy rocks fell from the high stone ceiling and crashed into gold. Who foolishly dares to disturb my eternal slumber inside the sacred ancestral realm? The angry, mythical dragon spoke with a deep, booming voice that vibrated loudly. I stepped bravely forward proudly and pointed a bare gray finger at it. I am Leon, the absolute weakest and most pathetic, miserable demon alive today. Please kindly use your strongest ultimate breath attack and burn me to ashes. The giant legendary dragon blinked its massive yellow eyes in complete utter confusion. It had absolutely never seen a naked demonic creature begging for death politely. Dante fell heavily to his armored knees while thick tears streamed down completely. I finally truly understand your brilliant and highly noble tactical battle plan, Leon. You stripped completely naked to draw the absolute total aggressive attention of danger. You are willingly sacrificing your own precious life to guarantee my opening strike. I desperately wanted to scream that he was a complete and utter idiot. I am absolutely not giving you an opening because I merely desire death. The incredibly angry dragon roared again and opened its massive, terrifying, scaly jaws. A blinding, terrifying sphere of concentrated dark hellfire gathered deep inside its throat. The intense magical heat instantly melted the shiny gold coins surrounding my feet. This was the exact, beautiful, perfect moment I had been dreaming about constantly. I happily closed my tired eyes and welcomed the sweet embrace of annihilation. The dragon unleashed a massive, devastating torrent of pure, destructive black magic fire. The terrifying, roaring inferno completely swallowed my naked gray demonic body instantly today. I happily felt my fragile flesh burning away into absolutely nothing incredibly fast. My health points dropped drastically to exactly one single, incredibly lonely, fragile percent. I smiled incredibly happily as the sweet darkness of permanent death finally approached. But the highly annoying system interface pinged loudly inside my melting demonic brain. Extreme fatal damage detected from an ancient, legendary, mythical boss-tier hostile entity. Passive skill. Divine demonic rebirth has successfully activated to ensure your complete survival. Hidden secret achievement unlocked for tanking a legendary dragon breath completely naked today. Absolute regeneration skill has permanently successfully evolved into the mythical SSS rank tier. You will now instantly recover massive health points regardless of any sustained damage. A blinding, massive pulse of bright green energy violently erupted from my skeleton. My gray flesh and strong muscles violently regenerated in less than a millisecond. The massive kinetic force of my incredibly rapid healing created a huge shockwave. The powerful magical blast deflected the remaining dark hellfire right back at danger. The colossal, terrified beast roared in sheer agony as its own fire burned. I stood completely, absolutely unharmed in the middle of a massive smoking crater. My new naked demon body was brightly glowing with an incredibly terrifying aura. I looked sadly down at my perfectly healthy hands and screamed in despair. Why is it absolutely physically impossible for me to ever die in here? The giant defeated dragon collapsed onto the melted gold coins, breathing very heavily. Its crimson thick scales were heavily scorched and cracked by the reflected attack. It stared directly at my naked glowing body with absolute sheer terrifying panic. You are an immortal, terrifying monster, born from the deepest, darkest, endless abyss. I yield completely to your absolute, overwhelming, supreme, physical, and magical dark power. The mighty ancient dragon bowed its massive horned head in complete, utter submission. I dropped heavily to my knees and punched the melted gold in frustration. I absolutely do not want you to yield because I want you dead. Suddenly, the entire underground cavern began to glow with a bright, ghostly light. Hundreds of transparent, glowing blue spirits floated out from the solid stone walls. These were the legendary ancient heroic ancestors of the dark demonic royal bloodline. They surrounded my naked, kneeling body and bowed their ghostly, transparent royal heads. A giant, imposing spirit wearing a massive, glowing crown stepped forward and spoke. We have watched your incredible, selfless trial with absolute awe and deep respect. You willingly stripped away all your protective armor to defend your weak companion. You faced the ultimate deadly terror with absolutely zero fear in your heart. You are the true, perfect embodiment of noble demonic courage and ultimate strength. We proudly officially proclaim you the one and only true Demon King heir. A massive, blinding beam of dark purple energy shot directly into my chest. The system interface went absolutely crazy with dozens of golden new level notifications. Your base combat level has forcefully increased by exactly 100 massive points. You have successfully gained the legendary title of True Honorable Demon King heir. Physical death is now permanently disabled for your current immortal demonic flesh vessel. I stared blankly at the highly annoying blue text with completely dead eyes. My greatest beautiful dream of dying was officially and permanently ruined forever now. Dante crawled pathetically toward me and pressed his handsome face against the dirt. Forgive my extreme arrogance and absolute blind ignorance, O great, majestic, noble leader. I am completely, utterly unworthy to even look at your glorious naked form. I solemnly swear my eternal absolute loyalty to you and your brilliant mind." I sighed incredibly heavily and grabbed a discarded dark cloak to cover myself. "Please just stop talking immediately and let us leave this highly depressing cave." We walked slowly out of the ancient dungeon and returned to the capital. A massive, cheering crowd of demons was waiting anxiously outside the royal palace. Queen Eliza and General Malachor stood proudly on the grand main stone balcony. Dante walked bravely forward and proudly raised his glowing silver sword very high. Lord Leon has successfully conquered the ancient deadly trial and tamed the dragon. The legendary ancestral spirits have officially proclaimed him the true Demon King heir. The entire massive crowd erupted into deafening cheers that violently shook the city. General Malachor turned completely pale and his heavy muscular legs trembled in fear. His own personal elite champion was now publicly kneeling before my tired body. Malachor realized he had completely lost all his political military power and respect. The massive, angry purple general slowly fell to his knees in total humiliation. He bowed his heavy, ugly head before the massive, cheering crowd of demons. I painfully yield to the supreme absolute power of the true noble heir. Queen Eliza smiled incredibly brightly and looked at me with deep romantic affection. "You have perfectly united our broken dark kingdom without shedding a single drop. Your absolute peaceful, glorious victory is the greatest tactical masterpiece in demonic history." I looked sadly at the cheering crowd and the kneeling giant purple general. I was now an absolutely invincible immortal leader of a massive demonic empire. My beautiful human princess was probably marrying some other brave hero right now. A single extremely sad, lonely tear rolled down my tough, gray, demonic cheek. The observant crowd gasped loudly and pointed at my highly unexpected sad tear. "Look at our glorious immortal king crying tears of pure joy for us. He truly deeply loves his people more than his own immortal dark life." I wiped my sad face angrily and walked slowly into the dark palace. I seriously absolutely need to find a magical way to delete my account. Malachor watched me leave silently with a hidden dark evil scowl on his face. He was publicly utterly humiliated, but he was definitely secretly plotting his revenge. I truly genuinely hope his secret evil revenge plot actually manages to kill me. Tomorrow, I will definitely try to jump directly into the massive royal volcano. The royal volcano was completely filled with highly unstable and extremely hot magma. Maybe the intense magical heat could permanently melt my cursed immortal demon bones. The royal volcano was completely filled with highly unstable and extremely hot magma. Maybe the intense magical heat could permanently melt my cursed immortal demon bones. I woke up very early the next morning with a highly determined mindset. My grand suicidal plan was absolutely foolproof and completely ready for execution today. I sneaked out of my luxurious royal bedroom while the elite guards slept. The dark stone corridors of the massive palace were completely silent and empty. I walked quickly toward the massive glowing crater of the giant royal volcano. Thick, toxic black ash constantly rained down from the dark, terrifying red sky. The intense heat radiated from the bubbling magma deep inside the massive crater. I stood right on the very edge of the terrifying, deep, fiery abyss. The bright orange lava below looked incredibly inviting for my desperate immortal soul. I took a deep breath and happily jumped directly into the boiling liquid. My heavy gray demonic body fell rapidly through the thick, dark, toxic smoke. I crashed heavily into the molten rock with a massive bright orange splash. The extreme magical heat instantly engulfed my entire frail physical form in agony. My flesh began to burn away into nothingness with a highly satisfying sizzle. This was definitely the absolute perfect way to end my miserable demonic existence. I closed my tired eyes and waited patiently for the sweet system notification. The annoying interface suddenly pinged loudly inside my melting hot gray demonic brain. Extreme environmental thermal damage detected from the ultimate royal demonic volcanic magma core. Passive skill. Divine demonic rebirth has successfully activated to prevent your complete destruction. You have successfully unlocked the hidden achievement for bathing in pure liquid fire. Absolute thermal immunity has been permanently granted to your immortal gray physical vessel. A massive burst of bright green energy violently exploded from my burning chest. My completely destroyed flesh instantly regenerated back to absolute perfect and healthy condition. The boiling orange magma suddenly felt like a highly relaxing warm bath water. I opened my glowing eyes and screamed loudly in pure, absolute, deep frustration. Why must this stupid magical system constantly ruin my beautiful dreams of death? I forcefully punched the thick liquid fire and created a massive, dangerous shockwave. I was completely trapped at the bottom of the giant, deadly royal volcano. Suddenly, I noticed a strange, dark opening hidden behind a massive magma waterfall. I swam gracefully through the boiling liquid and entered the secret stone cavern. The hidden cave was completely filled with highly suspicious, dark, magical, protective runes. I heard several loud, angry voices echoing from the deep shadows ahead clearly. I quietly walked forward and carefully peeked around a giant, sharp, black stalagmite. General Malachor stood aggressively in the center of the dark, hidden stone room. He was secretly talking to a highly decorated human holy crusader military commander. The human knight wore shining golden armor decorated with bright white holy symbols. My miserable demonic heart leaped with pure joy at this highly unexpected sight. A powerful human holy knight could definitely permanently destroy my cursed immortal body. I listened closely to their highly treasonous and extremely dangerous secret magical conversation. Malachor handed a massive glowing black crystal to the arrogant human crusader commander. This dark artifact will completely disable the magical defenses of the royal palace. You must bring your entire holy army and slaughter everyone inside the capital. I only want you to spare Queen Eliza so I can personally execute her. She completely humiliated me by promoting that pathetic weakling Leon over my authority. The human commander laughed cruelly and tightly grabbed the glowing dark magical crystal. We will gladly help you destroy the demon kingdom from the inside today. Our holy magic will easily purge all these filthy monsters from the world. I was absolutely shocked by this incredibly massive and highly dangerous political betrayal. Malachor was actually selling out his entire loyal race just for petty revenge. I immediately stepped out from the dark shadows and waved my hands happily. Hello there, brave human knight. Please use your strongest holy magic on me. I am a very evil demon and I desperately need to die today. Both commanders jumped backward in absolute pure terror at my sudden unexpected appearance. Malachor drew his massive purple battle axe with trembling, heavy, muscular demonic hands. How did you possibly survive the deadly boiling magma of the royal volcano? You are a truly terrifying immortal monster sent to ruin my perfect plans. The human knight frantically activated a highly advanced golden magical teleportation escape scroll. I will begin the massive holy invasion immediately while you distract this freak. The human commander vanished instantly in a blinding flash of bright white light. I groaned loudly and completely ignored the highly furious purple demonic military general. You absolute idiot, why did you let the strong human knight run away? He was my absolute best chance at finally achieving a glorious permanent death. Malachor roared furiously and swung his giant heavy axe directly at my neck. I will chop your arrogant gray head off and feed it to dogs. The massive sharp blade struck my bare neck with incredibly terrifying physical force. The heavy metal weapon instantly shattered into 1,000 tiny, useless, broken pieces. My passive regeneration skill made my flesh significantly harder than any known steel. Malachor stared at his broken weapon handle with wide and completely terrified eyes. You are absolutely, completely impossible to kill with any normal physical magical attacks. I sighed heavily and gently patted his trembling, massive, thick purple demonic shoulder. I know exactly how you feel because I am also extremely deeply frustrated. Suddenly, a massive, deafening explosion violently shook the entire dark, hidden volcanic cavern. The royal capital city above us was currently under a massive, sudden attack. Malachor laughed maniacally and quickly activated his own dark, magical personal teleportation artifact. The holy invasion has already officially begun, and your pathetic kingdom will fall. Queen Eliza will be publicly executed, and you cannot do anything to stop it. He vanished quickly into the dark shadows, leaving me completely alone down here. I stood silently in the empty stone cave and thought about the situation. The human crusaders were currently attacking the dark city with highly deadly magic. This was an absolutely perfect opportunity for me to finally die in battle. I just needed to stand in front of their massive, holy magical cannons. I quickly ran out of the secret cave and swam through the magma. I climbed the steep rocky walls of the giant volcano with incredible speed. I finally reached the top edge and looked down at the royal capital. The entire beautiful dark city was completely engulfed in highly destructive bright flames. Thousands of heavily armored human holy knights were marching through the broken gates. They were mercilessly slaughtering the completely unprepared and highly confused weak demonic citizens. Massive pillars of pure, blinding white holy light pierced the dark red sky. My heart felt a very strange and highly unexpected sharp pang of guilt. These ugly monsters completely trusted me and genuinely believed I was their savior. The little weak goblin who offered me a clean towel was probably dying. I aggressively shook my head to clear these highly annoying, useless, heroic thoughts. I am just a fake leader trying to get myself killed very quickly. I jumped down from the high volcano and landed heavily in the city. The massive physical impact created a huge crater in the dark stone street. Several human knights turned around and pointed their glowing holy swords at me. I smiled brightly and walked toward them with my bare arms wide open. "Please strike me down with your incredibly powerful and highly deadly holy weapons." The brave knights charged forward and violently stabbed my chest with glowing blades. The bright green light of my regeneration instantly shattered their expensive magical swords. The massive kinetic feedback violently threw the terrified human soldiers across the street. I groaned loudly in absolute pure despair and forcefully kicked a broken rock. Why are the elite human crusaders so incredibly weak and completely utterly pathetic? I desperately need to find the supreme human commander to execute me properly. I ran quickly through the burning streets toward the massive royal obsidian palace. The beautiful dark castle was completely surrounded by a massive glowing holy barrier. Dante, the handsome silver knight, was lying heavily wounded near the broken gates. His shiny magical armor was completely shattered and heavily stained with dark blood. The tiny loyal goblin was desperately trying to bandage his terrible deep wounds. I rushed over to them and knelt down on the bloody stone ground. Dante coughed up thick dark blood and looked at me with fading eyes. "Lord Leon, you have finally returned to save our completely doomed Dark Kingdom. General Malachor brutally betrayed us and disabled the massive royal magical defensive shields. He captured Queen Eliza and locked her inside the main royal throne room. The human commander is preparing to publicly execute her with pure holy fire. You must completely ignore us and rush inside to save our beautiful queen." I looked at the heavily injured brave knight and the crying tiny goblin. They were completely willing to sacrifice their own lives for their beloved kingdom. I felt a sudden massive surge of genuine pure anger inside my chest. I wanted to die, but I absolutely hated seeing innocent loyal people suffer. Malachor was a completely cowardly, treacherous, pathetic excuse for a noble demonic warrior. I gently placed my gray hand on the heavily bleeding chest of Dante. The system interface pinged with a highly unexpected and extremely bright golden notification. You have successfully chosen to actively protect your loyal subordinate demonic faction members. Passive skill. Divine demonic rebirth can now be temporarily shared with physical contact. A massive wave of bright green healing energy flowed from my immortal hands. Dante gasped loudly as his terrible deep wounds completely closed in 1 second. His shattered silver magical armor instantly repaired itself with an incredibly bright glow. The tiny goblin cheered wildly and hugged my thick gray muscular demonic leg. "You are truly the absolute greatest and most merciful legendary Dark King ever." I sighed heavily and stood up to face the massive glowing holy barrier. "Please stay absolutely safe here while I go inside and handle this mess." I walked calmly toward the blinding white magical shield blocking the palace entrance. The holy energy violently burned my dark demonic aura with incredibly intense heat. I completely ignored the terrible pain and simply walked straight through the barrier. My passive regeneration instantly repaired my burning flesh faster than it could melt. The massive magical shield shattered into a million tiny harmless glowing white sparks. I slowly entered the grand main hallway of the beautiful dark royal palace. Hundreds of elite human holy knights were heavily guarding the massive throne room. They aimed their glowing magical weapons at my completely unarmed, lonely gray figure. Fire all holy spells and destroy this incredibly dangerous immortal monster right now. A massive, overwhelming barrage of blinding, destructive magical energy flew directly toward me. I simply continued walking forward without even trying to dodge a single attack. The deadly spells violently exploded against my chest, but left absolutely zero scratches. I grabbed the two nearest terrified human knights by their heavy metal collars. I gently tossed them completely out of the nearest highly decorated glass window. I am incredibly deeply sorry, but I am in a very huge hurry. I forcefully kicked the massive heavy obsidian doors of the royal throne room. The giant doors violently flew off their thick metal hinges and crashed loudly. I stepped into the massive room and observed the highly terrible, chaotic scene. Queen Eliza was heavily bound by thick, glowing magical chains of holy light. She was forced to kneel painfully on the hard, cold, dark stone floor. Her beautiful, elegant black armor was completely shattered and covered in dark blood. General Malachor stood proudly beside her, holding his newly repaired giant purple axe. The arrogant human commander was pointing his glowing golden sword at her neck. Eliza looked up and saw my tired face standing in the broken doorway. Her beautiful crimson eyes widened in absolute pure shock and deep, genuine fear. "Leon, you absolutely must run away and save your own precious immortal life. They have a highly dangerous ancient holy artifact that completely disables demonic regeneration." My dark, miserable heart skipped a highly joyful beat upon hearing this information. A magical artifact that disables regeneration was exactly what I desperately needed today. I smiled incredibly brightly and walked confidently toward the highly dangerous enemy group. "Please use that wonderful magical artifact on me as quickly as physically possible." Malachor laughed cruelly and pointed his massive, heavy purple finger at my face. "You are an absolutely arrogant, completely suicidal fool to enter this deadly trap." The human commander raised a small, glowing, bright white crystal high into air. This is the sacred tear of the goddess, blessed by the highest angels. It completely nullifies all dark demonic abilities within this massive royal throne room. A blinding wave of pure white holy energy instantly washed over my body. I felt my incredibly massive dark demonic aura suddenly vanish into absolute nothingness. The highly annoying system interface pinged with a bright glowing red warning notification. Extreme holy suppression field actively detected inside the current physical combat zone area. Passive skill. Divine demonic rebirth has been completely forcefully disabled by divine magic. I stopped walking and stared at the red text with absolute pure amazement. My absolute greatest and most beautiful impossible dream was finally coming completely true. I was currently completely vulnerable and highly capable of dying a permanent death. I dropped to my knees and cried genuine happy tears of pure joy. "Thank you so incredibly much for bringing this wonderful holy crystal here today. Please kindly stab me in the heart and end my miserable immortal suffering." The human commander looked completely, utterly confused by my highly bizarre, joyful reaction. This demon is absolutely, completely insane and desperately needs to be put down. He raised his glowing golden sword and charged directly toward my kneeling body. I happily closed my eyes and waited for the beautiful, sweet, deadly strike. Suddenly, Eliza violently broke free from one of her glowing, painful holy chains. She threw her beautifully bruised body directly in front of the charging knight. The sharp, glowing golden sword pierced deeply into her soft, pale, unprotected shoulder. Eliza screamed loudly in terrible, agonizing pain and collapsed heavily onto the floor. I immediately opened my eyes and gasped loudly in absolute, pure, genuine horror. The beautiful demon queen was bleeding heavily and completely dying right before me. "Why did you do that, you completely reckless and incredibly foolish, beautiful woman?" I crawled over to her and gently held her heavily bleeding, fragile body. Eliza smiled weakly and touched my rough, gray, demonic cheek with pale fingers. "You are the absolute greatest and most noble hero this dark world knows. I could absolutely never allow them to destroy our only true bright hope. Please survive this terrible tragedy and lead our beloved people to glorious victory." Her beautiful crimson eyes slowly closed as her breathing became incredibly dangerously shallow. I stared at her pale, peaceful face and felt a massive emotional explosion. I completely genuinely hated being a demon, and I desperately wanted to die. But I absolutely refused to let this beautiful, brave woman die for me. I gently laid her down on the cold, dark stone floor very carefully. I slowly stood up and glared intensely at the highly arrogant human commander. Malachor laughed loudly and pointed his giant, heavy purple axe at my chest. Your pathetic little queen is completely dead, and your powerful regeneration is gone. You are absolutely completely helpless and incredibly weak without your stupid immortal tricks. I clenched my bare gray demonic fists until my sharp claws drew blood. The system interface pinged quietly with a highly unexpected, glowing, hidden dark notification. Host has successfully experienced genuine deep emotional loss and pure intense absolute rage. Hidden royal demonic power completely unlocked by rejecting the desire for peaceful death. You are absolutely right that my powerful healing regeneration is currently completely disabled. I spoke with a terrifyingly deep and incredibly dark, menacing, cold, demonic voice. But you completely forgot that I am the true legendary Demon King heir. I reached deep into my soul and forcefully activated my ultimate offensive power. The entire massive royal throne room began to violently shake with dark energy. I am going to absolutely completely destroy both of you right here today. I will happily die later, but you are definitely going to die now. The human commander and the traitorous general stepped backward in absolute pure terror. I prepared to unleash my absolute full, terrifying, destructive power upon my enemies. The massive dark energy violently swirled around my highly exhausted gray demonic body. The arrogant human commander frantically raised his glowing golden sword in pure terror. General Malachor gripped his giant purple battle axe with heavily trembling muscular hands. You are completely bluffing because the holy artifact disabled your annoying immortal tricks. The giant purple traitor yelled loudly while trying to hide his genuine fear. I slowly stepped forward and felt a strange burning sensation inside my chest. My passive healing was totally gone, but my base physical strength remained massive. I was still the officially recognized legendary heir to the dark demonic throne. The ancient spirits from the cave had granted me immense raw physical power. I did not need any healing to completely destroy these two pathetic cowards. I forcefully clenched my bare gray demonic fists and cracked my thick knuckles. The sheer physical pressure of my raw strength violently cracked the stone floor. Small pieces of dark obsidian floated into the air around my angry figure. I glared directly at the highly traitorous purple general with pure, cold disgust. You completely betrayed your entire loyal kingdom for your stupid, petty personal revenge. You allowed these arrogant holy knights to slaughter our weak and innocent citizens. You even dared to fatally injure the beautiful queen who completely trusted you. I am going to make you deeply regret your highly cowardly, pathetic choices. Malachor roared furiously and charged directly toward me with his giant heavy axe. I will chop your arrogant gray head off and feed it to dogs. He swung the massive sharp purple blade directly at my unprotected bare neck. I completely ignored the incoming deadly attack and simply stood my ground firmly. The heavy metal weapon violently struck my gray skin with incredibly terrifying force. A loud, deafening metallic crack echoed loudly throughout the massive royal throne room. The giant purple battle axe instantly shattered into dozens of useless tiny fragments. My passive regeneration was gone, but my dense immortal bones remained absolutely indestructible. Malachor stared at his broken weapon handle with absolute pure, deep, genuine horror. How can your physical body remain so incredibly hard without your healing magic? He whispered these pathetic words while slowly backing away from my angry figure. I raised my right hand and grabbed his thick purple demonic armored collar. I effortlessly lifted his massive, heavy, muscular body completely off the stone floor. The giant purple general choked loudly and desperately kicked his heavy armored legs. I violently slammed his huge body directly into the solid obsidian royal throne. The ancient dark throne instantly shattered into hundreds of sharp black stone pieces. The massive physical impact completely broke every single bone in his treacherous body. He coughed up thick dark blood and stared at me with fading eyes. I tossed his completely broken body onto the floor like a useless rag. You are absolutely not worthy of a glorious death by my royal hands. I walked slowly around his broken body, and examined his pathetic heavy armor. You thought your shiny magical weapon could easily pierce my thick immortal skin. You completely forgot that true demonic power comes from absolute pure raw strength. I did not need any magical healing to completely break your pathetic bones. Your stupid rebellion was absolutely doomed from the very first miserable, pathetic second. The other traitorous royal guards immediately dropped their weapons and desperately begged me, "Please show us your absolute supreme legendary mercy, O great and mighty king." We were completely forcefully manipulated by this extremely evil and highly jealous general. I completely ignored their pathetic, useless cries and focused on the human commander. The arrogant holy knight was violently shaking inside his shiny golden magical armor. He took several steps backward while pointing his glowing golden sword at me. "Stay completely away from me, you terrifying immortal monster from the dark abyss," he shouted loudly while desperately holding the highly dangerous glowing white holy crystal. I instantly vanished from my spot and appeared directly in front of him. My movement speed was completely untraceable to his weak and pathetic mortal eyes. The human knight gasped loudly and tried to swing his glowing golden blade. I easily caught the sharp holy weapon with my bare gray demonic hand. The bright holy magic violently burned my unprotected palm with incredibly intense heat. I completely ignored the terrible searing pain and tightly crushed the shiny blade. The expensive magical sword instantly shattered into dozens of useless tiny metal fragments. I raised my bare gray fist and punched his shiny golden armored chest. The massive kinetic impact instantly crumpled his heavy armor like cheap thin paper. He flew backward across the massive throne room and crashed into a pillar. The heavy stone pillar collapsed and completely buried the highly arrogant human knight. I breathed heavily and gently massaged my slightly burned bare gray demonic palm. The holy magic actually managed to cause me some genuine physical pain today. This was a highly refreshing and incredibly wonderful feeling for my immortal soul. Suddenly, a bright, blinding light erupted from the massive pile of broken stones. The injured human commander crawled out of the heavy debris, breathing very heavily. He held the highly dangerous, glowing white holy crystal high above his head. "I will completely purify this entire dark castle with supreme ultimate holy fire." The sacred tear of the goddess began to pulse with terrifying, destructive energy. I immediately recognized the massive magical danger building up inside the small crystal. If that holy artifact exploded, it would completely vaporize the entire royal palace. I desperately needed to stop the massive explosion to protect the injured queen. I quickly sprinted toward the crazy human knight with my absolute maximum speed. He laughed maniacally and forcefully crushed the glowing white crystal with his hands. A massive, overwhelming shockwave of pure, destructive, holy energy violently exploded outward instantly. I threw my entire physical body directly onto the massive, expanding, holy explosion. I tightly wrapped my bare, gray demonic arms around the blinding white light. I used my own dark physical vessel to completely contain the deadly blast. The incredibly intense holy fire violently burned my suppressed, frail, gray demonic flesh. My entire body experienced absolute, pure, agonizing pain beyond any normal mortal comprehension. This was absolutely the most terrible and highly painful experience of my life. But I firmly held my ground and refused to let the energy escape. I squeezed the massive holy explosion until the bright light completely faded away. The terrifying, destructive magic was entirely absorbed into my own dark physical body. I collapsed heavily onto my knees and coughed up a huge puddle of blood. My gray flesh was completely charred and heavily smoking from the holy fire. The massive dark stone walls of the royal throne room were completely scorched. Thick black toxic smoke slowly filled the absolutely silent and heavily ruined room. I wiped the thick dark blood from my completely ruined gray demonic chin. My entire nervous system was screaming in absolute, pure, agonizing, terrible physical pain. I truly, genuinely believed that my beautiful death was finally arriving right now. But my cursed immortal destiny absolutely refused to grant me this final peace. The human commander stared at my ruined body with absolute, pure, deep disbelief. "You willingly absorbed the ultimate holy explosion to save this filthy, dark castle. You are truly the most terrifying and completely selfless monster in the world." He fell to his knees and completely surrendered without any further useless resistance. I breathed very heavily and slowly turned my head toward the bleeding queen. Eliza was still lying completely motionless on the cold, dark, hard stone floor. Her beautiful pale face was losing color rapidly due to massive blood loss. The holy suppression field completely vanished when the glowing white crystal was destroyed. The highly annoying system interface suddenly pinged with a bright golden text notification. Holy suppression field has been successfully neutralized by your incredibly reckless physical actions. Passive skill. Divine demonic rebirth is now fully restored to absolute maximum capacity. A massive blinding pillar of bright green energy violently erupted from my body. My heavily charred flesh and broken bones instantly healed in a single millisecond. I felt my incredibly massive dark demonic aura completely return to my soul. I quickly rushed over to the dying queen and gently held her head. I gently placed my large gray demonic hand over her terrible bleeding wound. I forcefully activated my shared regeneration skill to save her precious, beautiful life. A warm, bright green light flowed from my hand into her dying body. The terrible, deep wound on her soft, pale shoulder instantly closed completely flawlessly. Her beautiful breathing slowly stabilized, and her pale cheeks regained their healthy color. Eliza slowly opened her stunning crimson eyes and looked at my worried face. You actually managed to survive the ultimate holy explosion without your healing magic, she whispered softly, while gently touching my perfectly healed, rough gray demonic cheek. I completely ignored her romantic gesture and let out a massive, heavy sigh. I am incredibly deeply disappointed that the holy explosion failed to kill me. I was absolutely completely vulnerable, and it still was not enough to die. Eliza smiled warmly and completely misunderstood my highly genuine complaints as usual today. You are always so incredibly humble about your massive, terrifying physical combat achievements. You willingly risked permanent death just to protect my weak and pathetic life. I will absolutely never forget your incredible noble sacrifice and your beautiful bravery. Suddenly, the broken massive obsidian doors of the throne room were pushed open. Dante, the handsome silver knight, rushed inside, holding his glowing magic silver sword. He was closely followed by hundreds of heavily armed elite royal demonic guards. The tiny loyal goblin was riding bravely on the shoulder of a guard. They all completely froze in absolute shock when they saw the ruined room. The massive royal throne was completely shattered into tiny, useless, sharp black stones. General Malachor was lying completely broken and heavily bleeding on the dark floor. The arrogant human commander was kneeling helplessly with his shiny golden armor destroyed. I was gently holding the completely healed, beautiful queen in my strong arms. Dante immediately dropped his glowing silver sword and fell heavily to his knees. Lord Leon has single-handedly defeated the treacherous general and the human commander. He has successfully saved our beautiful queen and protected our entire Dark Kingdom. The elite royal guards erupted into a massive, deafening roar of absolute cheers. They violently banged their heavy dark weapons against their massive, thick-spiked shields. All hail the completely invincible and absolutely supreme legendary dark demonic royal king. I stared at the massive cheering crowd with a completely dead blank expression. I absolutely did not want to become the supreme ruler of this kingdom. I just wanted to die a simple, peaceful death and reincarnate as human. Eliza slowly stood up and gracefully held my rough, bare, gray demonic hand. She proudly raised our joined hands high into the dark air for everyone. The entire massive dark kingdom will absolutely forever deeply honor your glorious name. The human crusader army outside the palace completely surrendered after sensing my power. They dropped their shiny holy weapons and desperately begged for absolute complete mercy. I ordered the royal guards to simply lock them inside the dark dungeons. I absolutely refused to execute the human soldiers because they were my friends. The loyal demonic citizens completely misunderstood my highly genuine mercy as brilliant strategy. He is keeping the holy knights alive to slowly extract their magical secrets. What an absolutely brilliant and incredibly terrifying tactical mind our glorious king possesses. I groaned incredibly loudly and aggressively rubbed my tired gray demonic forehead today. Absolutely everything I do is completely twisted into some massive, brilliant, evil plan. The Grand Royal Palace was quickly repaired by thousands of highly loyal workers. A brand new massive obsidian throne was carefully constructed in the main hall. It was specifically designed to comfortably fit my large, gray, muscular, demonic body. I was officially crowned as the absolute supreme ruler of the entire kingdom. The tiny goblin carefully placed a highly decorated heavy golden crown upon me. The massive heavy crown was beautifully decorated with incredibly rare glowing dark rubies. It felt incredibly heavy and highly uncomfortable on my tired gray demonic head. I desperately wanted to throw the stupid shiny crown into the boiling volcano. But the entire massive crowd of loyal demons was watching me with tears. They were crying tears of absolute pure joy for their glorious new leader. I forcefully forced a fake bright smile onto my highly exhausted demonic face. Thank you all for this completely unwanted and highly annoying absolute supreme honor. The crowd cheered even louder, completely ignoring my highly sarcastic and bitter tone. They threw beautiful, dark, magical flowers onto the highly polished black stone floor. A massive grand royal feast was immediately prepared to celebrate my glorious victory. I was forced to eat more highly disgusting glowing blue spider eyes today. I secretly fed the terrible exotic food to the tiny loyal goblin servant. He cried tears of pure joy at my supposedly highly generous royal action. I absolutely cannot handle another single day inside this highly absurd demonic kingdom. Queen Eliza happily stood by my side as my most loyal, trusted advisor. She constantly looked at me with incredibly deep, genuine, romantic love and admiration. Dante was officially promoted to the highest rank of Supreme Royal Vanguard Commander. The tiny loyal goblin was appointed as my personal elite royal head servant. I was now completely surrounded by incredibly loyal friends and highly devoted followers. I possessed absolutely massive unlimited wealth and terrifyingly overwhelming supreme dark magical power. My passive regeneration skill made me completely entirely physically immortal and absolutely indestructible. This was literally the absolute worst possible outcome for my grand, beautiful plan. I sat heavily on my massive new dark throne and sighed incredibly deeply. I stared blankly at the highly annoying blue system interface floating before me. Your glorious demonic empire is currently experiencing a massive golden age of prosperity. Hidden achievement unlocked for completely accidentally conquering the entire northern dark demonic territory. Your overall political influence has permanently reached the absolute maximum possible system level. I angrily swiped my sharp gray claw through the glowing blue text boxes. I absolutely completely hate this stupid broken magical system with all my heart. I desperately need to find a much stronger opponent to completely destroy me. The human holy knights completely failed to provide me with a glorious death. The ancient legendary mythical dragon also completely failed to melt my immortal bones. The ultimate holy explosion artifact only managed to cause me temporary physical pain. I must absolutely look beyond the normal mortal realm to find true danger. Perhaps there is a highly aggressive and extremely powerful angry god up there. Yes, a true angry divine god could definitely permanently delete my cursed soul. I slowly stood up from my massive dark throne and smiled incredibly brightly. Eliza looked at my sudden bright smile with a highly curious, beautiful expression. What brilliant tactical plan are you currently forming inside your magnificent dark mind? I looked directly at the beautiful queen and pointed my finger straight up. We are going to officially declare a massive, brutal war against the heavens. The entire royal court gasped loudly in absolute pure shock and deep terror. Declaring war against the heavenly gods was considered completely, absolutely insane and suicidal. Dante dropped his glowing silver sword and stared at me with wide eyes. My lord, that is an absolutely impossible and completely, utterly suicidal military campaign. The heavenly gods possess infinite destructive power that can instantly vaporize our world. I nodded my gray demonic head incredibly eagerly and gave a massive thumbs. That is absolutely exactly why we must immediately go and fight them tomorrow. I truly desperately need their infinite destructive power to completely vaporize my body. The loyal demons completely misunderstood my genuine suicidal desire as ultimate absolute ambition. He actually wants to completely conquer the heavenly realm and dethrone the gods. Our glorious immortal king possesses absolute supreme confidence in his terrifying dark power. The entire massive throne room erupted into another deafening roar of wild cheers. All hail the legendary demon god who will completely conquer the heavenly skies. I dropped back onto my massive dark throne and buried my tired face. I am completely, utterly, permanently trapped in this highly absurd, massive, immortal comedy. No matter what crazy suicidal actions I take, I only become more successful. My beautiful human princess is definitely completely lost to me forever right now. I truly miss the simple days of being a completely weak human knight. Now I am a completely terrifying immortal monster leading a massive evil army. Every single day brings a brand new, highly annoying magical system notification text. I am completely suffocating under the massive heavy weight of this unwanted glory. The tiny goblin servant gently polished my heavy dark boots with extreme care. I wanted to kick him away, but my stupid heroic instincts stopped me. I am completely cursed to forever protect these highly annoying, ugly, loyal monsters. My grand, glorious death has been permanently postponed by my own stupid success. I will absolutely never forgive this broken magical reincarnation system for ruining me. But for now, I must completely prepare for my epic war against heaven. I will probably end up accidentally becoming the absolute supreme god of everything. I closed my tired, glowing eyes and prepared for tomorrow's highly suicidal adventure. I will definitely punch the absolute strongest heavenly god directly in the face. Maybe then I will finally achieve my beautiful dream of a permanent death. I silently prayed to any completely evil entity willing to absolutely murder me. I sat upon my massive dark obsidian throne, feeling completely utterly exhausted today. The entire demonic kingdom was actively preparing for a massive, highly suicidal war. I desperately wanted the heavenly gods to strike me down with divine lightning. My beautiful human princess was definitely completely lost to me forever right now. Queen Eliza stood gracefully by my side, wearing beautifully repaired, elegant black armor. She reviewed massive, complicated military scrolls with highly intense, glowing, bright crimson eyes. Our glorious immortal king has successfully united the entire dark realm for battle. We will completely shatter the golden gates of heaven in your majestic name. I groaned incredibly loudly and aggressively rubbed my tired, rough gray demonic temples. I absolutely did not want to shatter any beautiful golden gates of heaven. I just wanted a giant, angry, divine god to permanently delete my soul. Dante, the handsome silver knight, walked proudly into the massive dark throne room. He carried a highly detailed magical map of the glowing upper divine realm. My lord, our elite vanguard forces are completely ready for your final commands. We have successfully gathered 1 million heavily armed dark soldiers for this invasion. I stared blankly at the highly enthusiastic silver knight with completely dead eyes. 1 million heavily armed demons would definitely provoke a massive, deadly divine response. This was absolutely perfect for my grand, beautiful plan of achieving permanent death. I smiled incredibly brightly and pointed my sharp gray claw at the map. I want all our demonic soldiers to completely drop their heavy protective armor. They must march toward the heavenly gates completely naked and absolutely completely unarmed. The entire massive royal military council gasped loudly in absolute pure deep shock. Marching into a divine holy war completely unarmed was absolutely insanely highly suicidal. Dante dropped his glowing magical silver sword onto the hard dark stone floor. My glorious king, that highly reckless tactic will definitely result in total massacre. The heavenly angels will easily slaughter our unprotected weak forces with holy arrows. I nodded my gray head incredibly eagerly and gave a massive happy smile. That is absolutely exactly what I deeply want to happen to us today. I completely, genuinely hoped the angels would completely slaughter me in the front. Queen Eliza suddenly clapped her delicate pale hands with absolute pure romantic joy. Our brilliant king is planning another absolutely flawless and highly terrifying tactical masterpiece. He wants us to completely discard our heavy useless armor to increase speed. The arrogant heavenly angels will completely underestimate our raw, terrifying, dark physical power. We will easily dodge their slow, holy arrows and crush their golden skulls. I forcefully slapped my own rough, gray, demonic forehead in absolute pure frustration. Why must you constantly twist my genuine suicidal commands into brilliant military strategies? I desperately wanted to clearly explain my highly pathetic and completely selfish intentions, but the highly annoying system interface pinged loudly with a bright golden notification. You have successfully unlocked the hidden legendary tactical achievement for absolute fearless leadership. All subordinate demonic forces have permanently gained absolute immunity to divine holy arrows. I stared at the glowing blue text box with absolute pure deep horror. My stupid magical system just completely ruined my beautiful plan of mass slaughter. Now my naked demonic army was completely immune to the basic angelic attacks. I sighed incredibly heavily and slowly stood up from my massive dark throne. Very well, then we shall march toward the heavenly realm tomorrow early morning. I will personally lead the absolute front line completely alone and totally unarmed. The massive military council erupted into a deafening roar of wild, enthusiastic cheers. All hail the absolutely fearless and completely invincible dark demonic god of war. I dragged my heavy gray boots across the dark stone floor very sadly. I truly deeply hated my cursed immortal life more than absolutely anything else. The next morning arrived with a highly terrifying dark red glowing sky above. 1 million naked demonic soldiers stood proudly outside the massive royal capital gates. They completely discarded their heavy iron weapons and totally ruined dark leather armor. They flexed their highly muscular dark bodies with absolute pure terrifying physical confidence. I stood completely alone at the absolute front of the massive terrifying army. I wore only a simple torn brown cloth around my gray demonic waist. I stared up at the beautiful bright glowing golden clouds of the heavens. Please send your absolute strongest and most violently angry god to kill me. I silently prayed to the heavens with a highly desperate and sad heart. Suddenly, the beautiful golden clouds violently parted with a massive, deafening, holy thunderclap. A colossal, glowing golden staircase slowly descended from the bright upper divine realm. Millions of beautiful white angelic feathers slowly drifted down onto the dark wasteland. A terrifyingly massive angelic warrior slowly walked down the glowing, bright golden stairs. He wore incredibly thick, shining platinum armor decorated with pure, blinding white diamonds. He possessed 6 massive, glowing white wings that radiated absolute, pure, destructive energy. He held a colossal, flaming, holy broadsword that could easily cleave entire mountains. This was the supreme archangel of divine retribution, sent to completely destroy us. My miserable gray demonic heart fluttered with absolute pure genuine joy and excitement. This colossal glowing birdman was definitely strong enough to permanently delete me. I happily stepped forward and waved my bare gray arms at the archangel. "Hello there, giant shiny birdman, please come down here and murder me." The supreme archangel stopped walking and glared at me with pure holy disgust. "You are an absolutely disgusting filthy creature born from the deepest dark abyss. I have come to completely purify your highly wretched soul with divine fire." I smiled incredibly brightly and gave the angry archangel a massive thumbs up. "Thank you so incredibly much for this wonderful and highly generous holy service. I am completely ready to be purified into absolute nothingness right now, sir." The majestic archangel looked completely utterly confused by my highly polite, cheerful response. He expected me to violently roar and aggressively charge at him with weapons. Instead, I was practically begging him to completely vaporize my physical demonic vessel. Queen Eliza watched me from a very safe distance with beautiful glowing eyes. Our glorious king is actively taunting the supreme heavenly executioner with absolute confidence. He is completely shattering the psychological mental state of the arrogant divine enemy. I desperately wanted to turn around and yell at the beautiful demon queen. I am absolutely not using any advanced psychological warfare tactics against this angel. I genuinely just want his giant flaming sword to completely cut me perfectly. The supreme archangel roared furiously and raised his colossal flaming holy broadsword high. "I will completely eradicate your highly arrogant dark existence from this physical world." He swung the massive glowing weapon directly at my completely unprotected gray head. A massive wave of blinding white divine fire violently erupted from the blade. The terrifying holy inferno completely swallowed my frail gray demonic body instantly today. I happily closed my tired glowing eyes and welcomed the beautiful sweet destruction. The intense divine heat instantly melted my gray flesh completely off my bones. My health points rapidly dropped to exactly 0 for the very first time. I felt my dark demonic soul finally beginning to slowly fade away peacefully. This was the absolute greatest and most beautiful moment of my entire life. I was finally going to successfully reincarnate and marry my beautiful human princess. But the highly annoying magical system interface pinged loudly inside my melting brain. Critical fatal damage detected from a supreme divine entity of the highest order. Passive skill. Divine demonic rebirth has successfully activated to prevent your complete death. Hidden secret achievement unlocked for successfully absorbing a supreme divine holy smite attack. Your demonic physical vessel has permanently forcefully merged with pure divine holy energy. You have successfully evolved into a completely unprecedented mythical demon god hybrid entity. A massive blinding pulse of glowing golden and dark purple energy exploded outward. My completely destroyed physical body violently regenerated in less than a single millisecond. But my new physical form was absolutely completely different from my old body. My rough gray demonic skin had transformed into perfectly smooth, glowing pale flesh. My majestic curved black bone horns now radiated a beautiful bright golden halo. 6 massive wings violently erupted from my strong back with a loud tearing. 3 wings were pure white angelic feathers, and 3 were dark leathery demonic. I stood completely unharmed in the massive smoking crater of the holy attack. I slowly opened my new glowing eyes that shined with pure absolute divinity. I looked down at my beautiful new hybrid hands and screamed in despair. Why did you completely ruin my beautiful death with this stupid holy upgrade? I absolutely did not want to become a highly terrifying mythical divine god. The Supreme Archangel stared at my new glorious form with absolute pure terror. He dropped his colossal flaming holy broadsword on
This video and everything in it are completely fictional and original creations by Manhwa. The story is made only for storytelling and entertainment inside a fictional universe. It isn't meant to encourage violence, dangerous actions, or harmful behavior, and nothing in this video should be copied in real life. All characters shown in this work are fictional and are presented as 18 years old or older. This content is made only for entertainment and isn't intended to offend, attack, or harm any person, group, or organization. This channel is more than just entertainment. It's made to share deep ideas, powerful meanings, and valuable insights through stories that make you think and feel in a new way.